exposed the incredible journey of a black cleaner-ass son who solved a $100 million challenge in seconds. Jamal Johnson was just a regular kid in a bustling suburban town, or so it seemed. But beneath the surface, there churned a storm of dreams and doubts as real as the dark skin and glossy curls that set him apart. At 16, Jamal was the son of a hard-working black janitor, his father the backbone of their home, earning every dollar through sweat and determination. Every time Jamal looked in the mirror, he felt the weight of expectations the world often overlooked him, and he feared he'd blend into the background of his own life. In the vibrant community filled with family traditions and daily gatherings, Jamal swept floors during long hours at corporate offices, daydreaming of a future far removed from mop and bucket. He wanted recognition, not just for working hard, but for the brilliance he knew he possessed. Yet, each night, as he descended into the emptiness of his struggles, it felt as if he remained invisible among his peers, their laughter echoing sharply against his silence. Then, the earth shook under his feet. A tech company in town suffered a monumental $100 million cybersecurity breach, sending the entire community into a frenzy of gossip and panic. Jamal couldn't help but feel the tension knotting his stomach each time they spoke about it. As he cleaned the sleek floors of the office, where the panic pulsed hottest, something caught his eye. It was a piece of paper, hastily tossed aside, holding critical insights that could turn the tide for the struggling executives. Jamal's heart raced. He had stumbled upon the potential solution to a colossal crisis. Yet with excitement came fear. What if he stepped forward and was met with doubt? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With his father's unwavering support echoing in his mind, Jamal gathered courage for the confrontation. He approached the executives, eyes bright with determination, but was met with dismissive glances. "A cleaner-ass son?" They scoffed, leaving Jamal feeling smaller than he had ever felt. Anguish welled within him, pulsating like a drum, nearly all-consuming. Yet, in those heart-wrenching moments of rejection, he found a spark of collective desire from his community, a fire ignited by their beliefs in him, their voices murmuring encouragement fueled by hope. As the countdown clock ticked away, Jamal's heart raced. He grappled with a choice: claim his moment or protect the values and people that birthed his dreams. The weight of history hung over him, the aspirations of his father, his friends, every overlooked voice in his neighborhood. This was a chance to rise, but would he step boldly into the light or retreat back into the shadows? Questions swirled like autumn leaves in his mind. Could he truly stand before the world and demand his place? As Jamal took a deep breath, he felt the energy of his community behind him, powerful enough to fuel a revolution. The moment now demanded a decision, a leap of faith, leading him toward an uncertain but promising tomorrow. Would he answer the call? Jamal stood frozen, his heart pounding in his chest like a war drum. The air buzzed with uncertainty and the weight of expectations. He could feel himself on the verge, caught between the familiar shadows he had always known and the bright possibility of his dreams. With a deep breath, he took a step forward, eyes blazing with newfound determination. "Listen," he said, his voice surprisingly steady despite the fear threatening to swallow him whole. The executives were startled. Their faces shifted from curiosity to incredulity. They exchanged glances, momentarily taken aback by the boldness of this young man. "What are you doing here, boy?" one of them sneered, a hint of ridicule lacing their words. You're just a janitor's son. You don't belong in this meeting." Jamal's stomach twisted. It stung, but he remembered his father, his tireless work ethic, the dignity with which he carried himself. He recalled how his father conveyed to him that no dream is too big when you have faith in yourself. "I have an idea," he said more firmly. "An idea that could help you fix this breach." The room fell silent, eyes narrowing and eyebrows arching. It was as if Jamal had said the sun itself could rise at midnight. "An idea?" Another executive barked out a laugh, cruel and derisive. "And what could you possibly know about cybersecurity? You're just a kid." With the memories of his father's unwavering support flooding his mind, Jamal pressed on. "Just give me a chance. I know this company inside and out. I've seen things from the ground, things that could help you understand where you went wrong." The room shifted, interest peaked. As they glanced at each other, Jamal seized the moment, laying out his thoughts, piecing together the scattered insights he dived into while scrubbing floors. His passion ignited as he explained how the breach had occurred and how the chaos could be rectified. He described potential strategies, risks they overlooked, and how a fresh perspective, his perspective, might just illuminate a route out of their turmoil. Every word was laced with the weight of his struggle, a rhythm of hope surfacing from deep within his chest. Slowly, the sneers and condescension in their eyes faded. Curiosity began to take root. Could he really hold the key? Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the lead executive leaned forward, leaning his weight over the stately conference table. "You're serious? You really believe this could work?" Determination surged. Jamal nodded, his voice steady. "Yes, I do." And in that moment, something shifted. Walls that had once seemed insurmountable began to crack. There was a hint of respect, curiosity, even a spark of hope in the air. One man broke the silence. "All right, kid, let us hear more." As he spoke, Jamal felt the thrill of possibility racing through his veins. For the first time, he recognized the significance of what he was doing, not just for himself, but for the countless others like him. Those who felt unseen, unheard, fighting battles every day, carrying the weight of their family's dreams. But with every rise, there also comes the chance of a fall. Would this idea blossom or wither beneath the flickering fluorescent lights? Jamal felt a shiver of doubt edge through him. He needed to prove himself, not only to the executives, but to his community, to his father, and to himself. As the executives listened intently, a flicker of victory glinted in Jamal's heart, but shadows lingered, whispering doubts tugging at the fringes of his optimism. This was just the beginning. Would he be able to push through the hurdles that lay ahead? And could one bright idea, one fearless voice, be enough to combat skepticism and reshape the narrative? The answer felt tantalizingly close, yet frustratingly out of reach. What would happen next? Jamal took a deep breath, feeling the air electrify around him. The executives leaned in closer, their eyes wide with anticipation, and he sensed the shift. They were no longer looking at him like a mere boy. They were seeing a potential ally, someone who might actually help them navigate the storm. "I've been watching what you all do," Jamal said, his heart racing, words flowing more freely now. "From the way systems are built to how responses are managed when something goes wrong. Each time there's a breach, it hits the community. It makes people like my father feel vulnerable, exposed." He paused, letting the weight of his words settle in. A few heads nodded, a spark of empathy flickering in their expressions. "You see, it's not just about codes and firewalls," he continued, his voice growing stronger. "It's about building trust. You need to understand your weaknesses to reinforce your strengths. You have people upstairs who can't see what is happening below. I can help bridge that gap. I know the ground level, and I know how to fix it." Some murmurs swept through the room. Jamal noticed a softening in the faces that once sneered at him. He saw it opening a chance to bring his vision to life. Every detail he shared painted a picture, each suggestion unveiling his layered understanding. As he detailed his concrete recommendations, like assembling a puzzle, he noticed people jotting down notes. He highlighted the need for a collaborative environment between departments, emphasizing the importance of communication and real-time data sharing. Just as he reached a critical point in his pitch, the lead executive interjected. "And what makes you think these changes will resonate within our culture? Companies are set in their ways." Jamal felt a spark of frustration, but pushed through. "Because I live in that culture. I've seen how information disconnect fosters mistrust. When employees feel like they're just cogs in the machine, they disengage. A motivated team that feels valued and heard can make all the difference. Help them understand their role, and you'll have a response team that acts swiftly and effectively." The executive gave a slow nod, the gears visibly turning in his head. Jamal could see the walls built around his past perceptions crumbling like old bricks. Yet doubt crept in again. "But can I truly change anything?" he wondered, his heartbeat drumming in his ears. "No," a voice piped up from further down the table. It was a young woman who had been listening intently. "But we can. If we allow someone like Jamal to lead this conversation, to bring us perspectives we've missed, we can change the narrative." The room buzzed with energy, the atmosphere shifting from skepticism to curiosity. The executives began to exchange glances of agreement. The more they discussed, the more Jamal realized he wasn't just presenting ideas, he was igniting a revolution within the hearts of these men and women. "This isn't just about you, Jamal," the woman continued. "This is about everyone impacted by your insight, the workers, their families, the community. You've got something special. Let us push this forward." Laughter broke through the tension, and Jamal felt a rush of exhilaration. His heart soared, the sense of belonging blooming with each word spoken, every supportive head nodding in his direction. But as ideas flew around the room, excitement burst forth. Jamal couldn't shake the feeling of impending pressure. What if this didn't go well? What if expectations crushed him under their weight? With a final deep breath, he glanced around the room, feeling renewed strength alongside his lingering doubts. "I want to lead a workshop. Let us bring everyone together, develop a plan that not just saves the company but also respects the community that sustains it." The executives murmured agreement, anticipation buzzing in the air. Yet, just as he basked in the warmth of his hopeful breakthrough, a new thought crossed his mind. Was he ready for the whirlwind that would follow this moment? "Let us do it," one executive called, "but for every plan we create, we need to ensure accountability. Who else with us?" As hands began to raise, Jamal's heart swelled with hope, yet uncertainty rolled in like fog. Could they really make a difference, or would this just become another empty promise? He needed to find out if the trust they built could withstand the journey ahead. Would they rise together or crumble under the weight of expectations? The journey had only just begun. What awaited them on the other side? The room hummed with energy, a buzz that tingled in Jamal's fingertips. The executives around him were no longer just suits and ties. They were allies, each raising their hands in a wave of solidarity and hope. Together, they were on the verge of something monumental. Yet, with each agreement, Jamal felt a weight settle on his shoulders, heavier than he anticipated. "Okay, let us get a timeline in place," said the woman who had spoken up earlier. Her name was Lily, and her enthusiasm radiated across the room. She was in her 30s, with a quick smile and an energy that seemed to spark even the most jaded of executives. "We can start with initial meetings next week. It's key we lay down the foundation right from the start." Jamal nodded, adrenaline surging through him. "If we can get everyone on board, we can set a meeting structure that's accessible and open. Feedback shouldn't be a chore, it should feel like a part of our culture." He glanced around the room, gauging interest as they started to map out plans and strategies. But amid the exhilaration, doubt stirred. He thought about his neighborhood, the faces of his neighbors who trusted him to bring change. Would they listen if he stumbled? Was he strong enough to carry their voices into this corporate world? This isn't just about systems, he heard himself say, his voice steady despite the uncertainty swelling inside. It's about our values. The heart of the company should reflect the community it serves. A murmur danced through the room, heads nodding. Jamal could sense something shifting, a collective impulse to reach further and aim higher. Excitement fed on itself until it became a tidal wave, flowing around them like a promise that change was within reach. As plans developed, Lily put forth a bold idea. Why not hold a town hall-style meeting, involving not just the staff but also community members? They can share their concerns. Real feedback will elevate our workshop and give us the peer review we need. The thought resonated deeply with Jamal. It was vital. They couldn't just talk the talk. They needed to walk it together, to embrace everyone's input. That's an excellent point, Lily. It's not enough to merely implement changes from the top down. We need that grassroots connection. He envisioned the hall filled with people, families, children, older generations, all affected by the company's decisions. They would be leading the conversation, not just listening. He felt a wave of warmth wash over him, as if he were reconnecting the strands of two halves of his world. Yet, with the excitement came caution. What if the executives lost interest once the initial thrill faded? What if employees didn't show up? What if the community felt unheard? Jamal pushed those thoughts aside, locking eyes with Lily. She was the embodiment of determination, and in her gaze, he found his own. They continued to build a framework for the meeting, tossing ideas back and forth, trying to identify who could facilitate and engage the community effectively. But just as they wrapped up the initial details, Jamal's phone buzzed purposefully in his pocket. He pulled it out, glancing at the message, his heart hitting a sudden snag. It was from his father. "Jamal, we need to talk." I heard some things. Panic tightened his chest. What could that possibly mean? He was thrilled about the meeting, but now something lingered, a shadow looming over his excitement. What worry had reached his father, and how would it affect what they were trying to build in that room? The buzz of the meeting faded, replaced by a burning question. What was it that had caused unrest back home? Jamal found himself torn between the new path he was forging and the foundations of his past that seemed to be trembling under his feet. As he looked back up, the energy in the room felt distant. The weight of his father's concern loomed larger. "What is it?" Lily noticed his distraction. "You okay?" He took a breath, forcing a smile even as tension rippled through him. "Yeah, just something I need to check on. Let us keep this momentum going," she encouraged, but a knot had formed in Jamal's stomach. With his heart racing alongside his thoughts, he wondered whether he could truly balance these two worlds. Could he stand firm for his vision, while also supporting those who had always supported him? As he felt the eyes of the room upon him, the anticipation crackled, but he could no longer ignore the pull of home. "Let us meet again tomorrow," Jamal finally said, the weight of the decision settling into his chest. "I need to handle something first." What would that something be? And would it pull him back when the future he longed for was so close to grasp? Jamal stepped out of the polished glass building, the buzz of excitement still swirling in his mind. But that charge was quickly overshadowed by a deep, unsettling feeling. The air outside felt thicker, heavy like a looming storm. He pulled his jacket tighter around himself, thinking about his father's message. A knot tightened in his chest. The drive home was a blur, each traffic light stretching into eternity. Jamal wrestled with swirls of fear and determination. With each stop, memories flooded back, the laughter of children playing in the streets, the scent of spices wafting from neighborhood kitchens, the familiarity of the corner store where he bought candy as a kid. His community was a vibrant pulse of life, and they were counting on him to elevate their voices, yet now, there were whispers threatening that connection. Arriving home, he was met by the familiar sight of his mother in the kitchen, her apron dusted with flour, humming an old song. The moment she saw him, her expression wavered. "Jamal, is everything okay?" "Yeah, just busy with work," he lied, avoiding her sharp gaze. He couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong, and he needed to talk to his father first. His father wore worry like a well-fitted coat, and when Jamal found him sitting at the dining table, hands clasped, it was even worse than he expected. "Pop, you wanted to talk? Sit down." His father's voice was steady but low, an edge hanging on the silence between them. Jamal glanced at his mother, who stood in the doorway, concern knitting her brow. He found a chair and sank into it, bracing for the unknown. "Your mom heard from Miss Donovan at the community center," his father began, darting a glance at the tension radiating through the room. "There have been some complaints about the new initiatives." "What do you mean?" Jamal felt his pulse quicken. "The focus group? We're trying to create real change. People believe that the company is leaving them out, Jamal. They think you've gotten too involved with that world up there." His father shook his head, frustration spilling over. "You know how hard it is for folks to trust the suits. But it's not like that. They're different." Jamal's voice cracked, desperation creeping in. "They're backing us. They want to listen." "Maybe so, but it feels like a betrayal to the people who've known you all your life." "I don't want them turning against you," his father replied, sadness flooding his voice. Jamal's heart sank. He had fought so hard to make this connection, to bridge the gap between the two worlds. He could already hear the murmurs in the community, questions about his loyalty, doubts about his integrity. He wasn't just navigating corporate waters, he was wading back into the heart of his past. As he sat in the growing quiet, a thought struck him. What if we held that town hall meeting sooner? If they can come and voice their concerns right to the executives, maybe it will change things. His father raised an eyebrow, skeptical but intrigued. "You really think that will help?" "Yes. I believe it will show them that I'm still one of them. We can build common ground," he urged, a spark igniting within him. "That might be a big risk, Jamal," his mother chimed in softly but firmly. "Are you willing to risk everything you've started for something that may not even work?" Jamal's mind raced with visions of the meeting, the room packed, the air electrified with voices rising to be heard. It could be a breakthrough or a turning point. "I have to try," he declared, resolve hardening with each breath. The weight of his father's concern still clung to him, but the urgency to connect and advocate ran hotter through his veins. With every ounce of belief, Jamal envisioned how he would open up that space for dialogue. A step forward, or perhaps a step back? The answer lay on the horizon, much like the town hall itself. As he stood to leave, the uncertainty of his next move filled the air like static electricity. He could feel the world he wanted slipping through his fingers, yet the call to protect the home he came from was undeniable. Would he find a way to balance both? In that moment of uncertainty, he promised himself to face this challenge head-on. The starting point, he realized, might also unveil where he truly belonged. Was he ready to embrace the risk? A soft knock on the door interrupted his thoughts. As he opened it, the shadow of that doorframe seemed to frame the unknown who would stand with him next, and would they bring the answers he sought? Jamal opened the door slowly, a hesitant smile forming as he recognized the familiar figure standing there. It was Marcus, his childhood friend, his face brightening the dim hallway. Marcus was always a few steps ahead in energy, ready to seize the moment or rally the crew for a weekend basketball game. "Jamal, man, you look like you just saw a ghost," Marcus said, stepping in and closing the door behind him. The warmth of his presence pushed some of the chill from Jamal's heart, but the worry still lingered at the edges like a shadow. "Just dealing with stuff, you know?" Jamal replied, trying to shake off the heaviness in the air. "What about you? What's up?" Marcus grinned, sliding into the living room. "Heard about that town hall you're trying to throw together. You want me to help? You know I can get some folks fired up." His confidence was contagious, and Jamal felt a flicker of hope reignite. "Yeah, I was just thinking maybe it could work. But folks are skeptical." "You kidding?" Marcus laughed. "They need to see someone like you fighting for them. They LL rally. You just gotta give them a reason to believe." The lines of thought in his friend's words dangled like a lifeline. Right, Jamal murmured, running a hand through his hair. "But what if it backfires? What if they don't trust me anymore?" Marcus moved closer, placing a hand on Jamal's shoulder. "If they don't trust you, then what is the point? You've never backed down, man. You've always been in their corner." Jamal could almost hear the echoes of their childhood adventures, the hard-fought games, and the determination that brought them together. He wished he could capture that fearless kid in the mirror, the one who never worried about what others thought. But the responsibility weighed heavier now. What if the room is filled with doubt? Jamal questioned softly, the fear creeping back in. "Doubt? Or curiosity?" Marcus countered. "This is your chance to speak. Let them voice their fears. Don't conceal it. Embrace what is real. You trust your truth, and they'll feel it." Jamal nodded, the tension within him loosening. "You really think so?" "Absolutely. Just imagine looking out into a crowd filled with people you've known. You're not just talking to strangers. You're speaking to friends and family. They're not just critics. They want answers. Give it to them." A faint smile crossed Jamal's lips. "Okay, let us do it then. Maybe we can gather a team together." "With you leading, they'll follow," Marcus said, the enthusiasm bubbling over. "Let us meet with some of the others. Get the call out. We need to turn this fear into momentum." Jamal felt the gears in his mind start to whir. "Yeah. Let us put it on social media, maybe even set up a group chat." The ideas poured out, and for the first time since hearing the news, he felt an electrifying blend of anticipation and empowerment. As they brainstormed, notes scribbled on the back of a takeout menu littered the table. Ideas flew back and forth, the mood lifting in the cramped room. They spoke about logistics, who could speak, and what points needed to be highlighted. Queuing up stories of struggle and strength, highlighting the community's voice, ideas poured forth like water from a broken dam. Yet, even in that creative rush, doubt still gnawed at the back of Jamal's mind. What would it take to convince the ones who were already hesitant? How would he ensure his voice didn't drown out the others? This wasn't just his journey, the stakes were much higher. "Let us bring everyone together, Marcus. Now is the time for us to stand unified." Jamal's words grew louder, with a certainty he was building from the ground up. As they sealed their plan, the challenge ahead transformed in Jamal's heart. The town hall wasn't just about tearing down walls brightened by concrete decisions, it was about building a bridge. His phone buzzed, the light flickering on the screen catching his eye. He opened a message from a community member. "What is going on, Jamal?" I heard whispers. The question hung there, empty. It was a reminder that the path he was forging could easily split between loyalty and ambition. Jamal glanced at Marcus, the weight of leadership pressing down on him again. Was he prepared for the responses? Would his past reignite hope, or would it bury him alive? The conversation, once exhilarating, now felt steeped in uncertainty. "Let us get to work," he replied, hoping the confidence behind the words would mask the doubt lingering in his heart. With the resolute beat of a determined heart, Jamal took one step forward. He felt the door behind him crack open again, the world waiting just beyond. filled with voices and shadows, all seeking clarity. And as that silence loomed, he wondered, could they move forward together, or would the past catch up to condemn them all? The sun barely peeked through the slits in the blinds as Jamal and Marcus hunched over the cluttered table. Their creative whirlwind had transformed the quiet room into a makeshift command center. His phone buzzed again, this time with a notification from the community group chat. Voices of excitement and curiosity flooded in. Jamal's heart raced as he scrolled through the messages, each one a spark igniting his hope. "Can you believe they actually want to hear from us?" Marcus said, reading over Jamal's shoulder. "I think we're onto something. Everyone's ready to talk about what is really going on." "Yeah, but we still need to channel that excitement. It can't just be noise," Jamal replied, a knot tightening in his stomach. "What if they don't like what I have to say? What if I mess it all up?" "Hey," Marcus said, pulling Jamal's gaze up to meet his. "You already have their respect. You don't have to do this perfectly. Just be real. Share your truth, and they'll either get it or they won't. But you don't control their response." Jamal nodded, heart still pounding. It was all too familiar, standing on that line between fear and hope. He couldn't shake the memories of countless community meetings where he felt lost in the sea of raised voices. This was that. This would be different. This was his moment to step up, not just for him, but for everyone. "Let us focus on the main points," Marcus said, flipping over the takeout menu. "What do you want to make sure they know? What is the message that'll resonate?" Jamal took a deep breath, trying to tap into the core of his feelings. "I want them to know we can't afford to stay silent anymore. This town hall, it's a chance to stand up and say we're tired of being overlooked. But also, we need each other. Everyone has to be involved." "Exactly," Marcus exclaimed, scribbling notes. "It's not just your journey, it's ours. We're all intertwined. We need to highlight those connections. Let them see the strength in unity." As they continued brainstorming, laughter filled the room. Jamal felt lighter, thoughts flowing freely like oxygen in his lungs. They worked their way through the messaging, outlining how to invite others to share their stories. Moments of vulnerability transformed into collective strength. Yet doubt still loomed, casting its shadow over Jamal's newfound enthusiasm. A fleeting thought whispered that their plans might crumble before they even began. What if they turned up only to tear him down? Would his old faults bubble back to the surface, reminding everyone why they had turned away before? "Jamal," Marcus said, pulling him back from the edge. "The past doesn't define who you are now. You're stepping into your power. And this?" He gestured around the room, eyes sparkling. "This is your chance to rewrite the script." The words hung there, a deep truth that resonated within Jamal. Could he really turn those memories of doubt into fuel for change? Maybe this was just about leading. Maybe it was about healing, both for him and the community. He sank back into thought, while Marcus continued to jot down ideas. The voices of their peers chimed in on the chat again, urging him to take this leap into the unknown. As he typed quick replies, adrenaline coursed through him, pushing him to act. "Okay," Jamal finally said, locking eyes with Marcus. "Let us put together a flyer. I want everything to be clear and inviting. I need them to feel this sense of urgency, the weight of our collective voices." Marcus grinned widely. "Now you're talking. Let us get it out there tonight." Just as they were finalizing the details, Jamal's phone rang. He hesitated before answering, seeing the name flash across the screen. His mother. She often called to check in, but lately, it had come with a heaviness that he could sense. He could feel his chest tighten, a reminder of burdens he wished to escape. "Hey, Mom," Jamal answered, attempting to keep his voice steady. "Jamal," she said, her voice soft but firm. "I heard about the town hall. Are you sure this is the right time? You know what people might say." His heart fluttered as he prepared to respond. Did she doubt him? Or was she just concerned? Would he find comfort in her words, or discover another layer of pressure? Mom, I have to try. I can't keep quiet, not anymore. There was a pause on the line, and in it, Jamal could feel the weight of expectations, love, and concern swell. Just remember, love, she finally said, your voice matters. But don't forget ours, too. That reminder hit hard. Balancing family and community would be delicate. He didn't want to alienate anyone, least of all her. As they hung up, Jamal's determination solidified. He felt the past simmering beneath him, a bubbling pot ready to explode. Would he rise above it or let it consume him? Let us do this, he said, cutting off the last threads of hesitance. Tomorrow, we start building that bridge. As night draped around them, he knew the challenges were still to come. Yet, as the shadows danced in the dim light, Jamal felt he was finally stepping into the light, a beacon for those ready to follow. Would they see what he saw? Would they join him in this rising, or would fear hold them back? The next morning broke over the city with an uncertain promise. Jamal could feel the weight of the day ahead pressing down on him as he made his way to the community center, the smell of fresh coffee wafting through the air. He clutched the folded flyer in his hand, feeling every creased edge as if it bore the weight of his dreams and fears. He wanted it to be perfect, not just the words, but the intention behind them. The community center buzzed with activity. Tables were set up, and chairs were being arranged. Jamal stood at the entrance for a moment, watching the chatter and laughter of families gathering for the town hall meeting. He could see familiar faces, friends and neighbors, some from the old days, some newer connections. Yet, his heart raced as he imagined the mix of support and resistance waiting for him behind those doors. Marcus met him at the door, a bounce in his step that contrasted sharply with Jamal's anxious energy. "Hey! You ready for this?" His smile was infectious, but Jamal still felt the knot in his stomach tighten. "Honestly, I'm nervous." The admission slipped out before he fully realized it. "What if they don't want to hear what I have to say?" "Then we talk louder," Marcus joked, nudging him. "Nah, man, seriously. Just be you. You've got this." As they made their way into the main hall, Jamal caught sight of the setup. Chairs arranged in a rough circle, a makeshift stage at the front, the banner overhead reading "Together We Rise." It was simple but striking. It was everything they had envisioned. The clock crept toward the start time, and one by one, familiar faces filled the seats. Jamal felt a rush of warmth amidst the coolness of doubt. His neighbors, his friends, people he had grown up with were there not just to listen, but to engage. He took a deep breath, channeling that warmth into focus. The meeting began with stories, moments of honesty, and frustration spilled out from different voices. Each testimony was a thread weaving them into a tapestry of shared experiences. Jamal sat, listening, feeling both exhilarated and terrified. These were the voices he wanted to amplify. Finally, it was time for him to stand up. The room fell quiet. Jamal cleared his throat, the familiar weight of eyes on him. He stepped toward the front, gripping the edges of the table until his knuckles turned white. The crowd looked back, some with expectation, others with skepticism. "Thank you all for being here," he started, voice wavering slightly. "This isn't just about me or my story. It's about us, our community, our voices." He steadied himself, remembering Marcus's words. "We're tired of being sidelined. We are here to demand change, to lift each other up, and to ask for help when we need it." Nods of agreement rippled through the crowd. He let out a breath, letting the words flow like water. He spoke of the challenges they faced, of unity, and why their collective voice mattered. The moment felt electric, like a live wire connecting him to everyone. Laughter erupted when he shared an awkward moment from a past community meeting, a reminder of how far they had come together, even if only recently. As Jamal closed his speech, something unexpected happened. A voice called out from the back, raw with emotion. What do we do next? It was a question that hung in the air like a challenge. The room buzzed with murmurs. Jamal felt the adrenaline spike. They were ready, hungry for more. We keep talking. We share stories. We build a plan. Together. He could see the spark ignite in the faces around him. Suddenly, this gathering wasn't just about worry or anger. It was blooming into something hopeful and collaborative. In that moment, Jamal understood the weight he had been carrying. It was never just his burden alone. They shared it, every single one of them. The meeting continued, pulling him deeper into the discussion, the energy of the room swirling, ideas overlapping. But as he spoke, a nagging thought tugged at him. The real challenge was just beginning. Would they sustain this momentum? As the discussions raged on, Jamal realized that steering this ship wasn't going to be easy. There would be hurdles, pushback, and doubt from within. But the fire in the room gave him courage. After today, we can't go back, he thought as he made eye contact with his mother in the crowd, her eyes shining with pride. Could they fearlessly push forward? With determination swelling in his chest, Jamal felt he was on the brink of something big. The groundwork was being laid for a future none of them could yet see, a future filled with potential. As the meeting progressed, he could sense the tides turning. A new voice had begun to rise in the community. Would they nurture that growth or let it slip away? The question sat heavy in the air, waiting for someone to take the plunge. But who would be brave enough to dive in next? The atmosphere in the room intensified as the conversations flowed, laughter punctuating moments of seriousness. Jamal felt it, an electric shift, where anxiety began to fuse with determination. Ideas poured out like rain, and he couldn't help but join in. The community was stirring, and he was at the heart of it, leading the charge. Suddenly Shira, a young woman known for her outspoken nature, stood up, her voice rising above the chatter. What if we create a community board? Something that keeps us connected? The room fell silent for a moment, absorbing her suggestion. Jamal felt a wave of excitement wash over him. Yes. A board to coordinate events and tackle issues together. We can meet regularly, maybe even have a community mural project. He paused, letting his words hang in the air, inviting others to dream alongside him. Mural? Love it. Marcus interjected, his enthusiasm infectious. Let us paint the stories of our neighborhood. Everyone can contribute. More voices joined the chorus, each adding fuel to the fire they were building. Jamal looked around, seeing the spark of hope igniting in the faces around him. It was growing into a full-blown rallying cry, drawing in those who had long felt unheard. But just as he felt hopeful, Jamal's mind hesitated. He thought about the naysayers, those who might challenge their plans or want to keep the status quo. He hadn't forgotten that even in unity, conflict could arise. Could they handle differing opinions? Chris, an older gentleman known for his skepticism, raised a finger. That's great, but how do we ensure this isn't just talk? How do we hold each other accountable? A murmur of agreement flitted through the crowd. Jamal's heart sank for just a moment. Maybe Chris was right. The reality was they hadn't been organized before. What made them think they could maintain this energy now? I think, Jamal began, choosing his words carefully, we have to take responsibility for our involvement. If we set goals together and check in on each other, we can keep ourselves accountable. He looked at Chris, wanting to connect. But it has to come from all of us, right? Chris nodded slowly, and other voices chimed in, affirming the need for structure. Together, they could create a plan, but while they built enthusiasm, Jamal knew there would be walls to break down. Maybe Chris's doubt would serve as a reminder that growth wasn't always linear. Hours passed, and the energy in the room remained vibrant. Yet in moments meant for celebration, doubt clawed at Jamal's confidence. What if they committed to these ideas but faltered in follow-through? Would his mother still be proud if they failed to meet their aspirations? The thought weighed heavily as he stole glances at her, still sitting among the audience. Her gaze felt like a warm embrace, but it also carried an unspoken expectation. What are we building here? He wondered. Just as he wrestled with the tug of fear, Shira spoke again. Look, we're all here today, aren't we? That's the first step. The fact that we're talking about these things means we're changing already. Her words sparked something within Jamal. Yes. There will be bumps along the way, but we're going to stand up, face them, and keep moving forward. A wave of applause surged through the space, washing over him like a tidal wave. The exhilaration ignited their resolve, breathing life into Jamal's growing confidence that they could truly make a difference. But then, just as they rounded a corner of hope, a sharp voice broke through the unity. And what if we fail? We can't afford failure this time. A newcomer stood up, tension crackling in the room like static, catching everyone off guard. Jamal felt his heart race. They had faced vulnerability together, but this outburst felt different. Would they fold under the weight of that question, or would the community's newfound strength buckle down and respond? Jamal's eyes swept across the room, searching for support, hoping they wouldn't turn away now just when they were beginning to stand tall. The room waited, filled with unspoken words. And Jamal could almost hear the heartbeat of a community poised to take its next leap. Would they falter or galvanize in the face of doubt? His mind churned with uncertainty, and yet a flicker of determination sparked. Who had the courage to answer that question next? In that charged atmosphere, the voice that had questioned them stood like a stone in the midst of rushing water. Jamal felt the tension weave through the room, uncertainty thick in the air. He could almost hear the collective breaths being held, the anticipations waiting to pour forth like rain from clouds heavy with promise. We're scared too, he said, breaking the silence. His voice was steady yet vulnerable. We've all felt the weight of failure. But look around. We've shown up, we're here together. And what if failure isn't the end? What if it's just a sign that we need to try harder? The face of the doubter softened slightly, uncertainty dancing in their eyes. Jamal pressed on, leaning into the energy of the crowd behind him. We didn't come here to just talk, but to learn and support each other. Every setback could teach us something valuable. We can build on those lessons and grow stronger. Isn't that what this community is all about? Slowly, the tension began to dissipate as heads nodded in agreement. A murmur of encouragement rose up from the back of the room where familiar faces filled the chairs, those of friends and neighbors who had grown up alongside him, filled with their own stories of struggle and triumph. Shira took a step forward, her voice clear and steady. Yeah, we might stumble, but together we can pick each other up. It's okay to take risks. It's how we grow. A ripple of acknowledgement seemed to awaken something deeper among the crowd. The fear of failure transformed into recognition of shared responsibility. Voices began to echo throughout the room, each note resonating with understanding. Everyone had faced an uphill battle, but the very act of sharing their truths was already a step in the right direction. You're right, Jamal, the newcomer finally said. We can't let fear hold us back. I see the potential in this together. The vulnerability in their voice spoke volumes. Jamal felt relief wash over him. They were starting to view this journey not as an uphill climb, but as a collective breakthrough, a chance to rise together, stronger and more united than before. With renewed energy, the group continued to build on ideas and ambitions. They created committees for focus areas, ways to outreach to community members who hadn't attended, sets of skills that could help ease the transition. As the meeting wound down, Jamal found himself saying, if we can keep this fire alive, we can be the leaders our community needs. Stand up and ask for what we deserve. The more we share our stories, the stronger we become. People began to clap, the rhythm building until the room was filled with joyous applause. Jamal's heart swelled, thinking of not just the promises made tonight, but of the hope carried in the air as they faced tomorrow together. "Let us meet again next week," Marcus shouted over the applause. "And let us keep this going. We're just getting started." "Yes," others echoed in enthusiasm, their spirits becoming a powerful current. Jamal beamed. It felt like they were on the precipice of real change. Here was his community, ready to push through barriers that had long held them back. They weren't just faces in the crowd. They were friends, family, allies, ready to advocate for one another. As the attendees began to file out, voices mingling with laughter and excitement, Jamal felt an overwhelming surge of gratitude. He would carry this moment with him the day they stepped out of fear and embraced their strength as a community. Just as he was turning to leave, his mother approached him, tears of joy in her eyes. "I'm proud of you, Jamal. You brought them together." "Mom," he started, words catching in his throat. "I couldn't have done it without everyone believing in me. We're all part of this together." She smiled, wrapping her arms around him in a warm embrace, sealing that moment in their hearts. As they walked out together, Jamal felt a surge of clarity wash over him. He wasn't just fighting for himself anymore. He was leading a movement, a transformation that would ripple out into the hearts of every hesitant soul. Their voices, once distant and drowned out, now intertwined in an unbreakable chorus. And as they stepped into the fading light of day, Jamal understood deeply. This was just the beginning of something beautiful. They were lifting each other, and in doing so, they would rise as a force of change. He couldn't wait to see what awaited them in the journey ahead. Now it's your turn. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that inspire change. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, because only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this powerful transformation. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this inspiring story and join the movement. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share.